The following program is the work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, the city's latest bike lane proposal is congested with disapproval.
Vancouver farmers explain why eating local produce matters.
And we find out if TransLink users in Surrey should be concerned about their safety. Hello and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm SEPT.30.
And I'm Krista Dow.
A survey released earlier this week suggests that a majority of the downtown core is in favor of the proposed Hornby Street bike lanes. However, as my co-anchor Krista Dow reports, many local shop owners are opposed to the idea.
Downtown Vancouver has always been a popular hub for cyclists. Recently, the city of Vancouver has launched a proposal to add a protective bike lane to the busy Hornby Street, a move many businesses are opposed to. Laura Jones for Independent Businesses thinks local shop owners will be feeling the strain.
Business owners are very worried that this is going to have a negative impact on their businesses because it's going to be more difficult for their customers to access. So 92% said they think it's going to have a negative impact on their business. Now that's very, very high, and many of them are very worried about the specific proposal that the city has in mind to put barriers around the existing bike lane.
The city's price tag for the bike lanes jumped from $800,000 last week to $3.2 million this week. Charles Gaultier for the Downtown Business Improvement Association says there are many factors to look at.
It shouldn't be whether or not solely there's an increase in cycling volumes. I think we need to take into consideration what's the impact to the businesses, what's the impact to their bottom line, and then what's happening elsewhere in the downtown transportation network. How is this affecting congestion, for example, on Georgia Street? Is it having an impact on other streets in the downtown network?
Hornby Street shop owners have voiced their concerns and say they are perfectly happy with the way the bike lanes are now. Krista Dow in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. Most people enjoy fresh produce from a local farmer. Reporter Brenna Temple talked to some workers at a unique Vancouver farm about the benefits of eating locally.
You don't see animals like this in Vancouver often, but it's probably because you didn't know about this farm. Here, Southland Farm President Jordan Maynard says there's more than what meets the eye.
We're one of the only farms in Vancouver, except for UBC Farm, so we're definitely a lot smaller scale than most farms, and we're definitely more education-oriented rather than production. You get a variety of produce that you wouldn't normally buy in the grocery store, and you kind of learn to eat seasonally, so your diet is much more varied than if you were just going to the grocery store and buying tomatoes year-round.
Choosing from a wide variety of vegetables here doesn't only ensure tasty food. It also means supporting a greener lifestyle.
We can do it in a sustainable way because we've got the horses and we put them here on the garden and keep everything kind of a closed system, which is good. I mean, we're still learning.
If you don't understand the value of farming, you're not gonna work to preserve the farmland that we have. And I think there's a lot of threat of farmland being destroyed.
It's a problem that can be prevented through education and a willingness to eat locally. Brenna Temple in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Several attacks around Metro Vancouver have the public looking over their shoulders. And as my co-anchor SEPT.30 explains, recent events in Surrey have transit users on edge.
It's a hub of activity at most times, with commuters going every which way. But more recently, the area around the King George SkyTrain station has been marred with attacks on women, young and old. This, combined with the recent death of a teenage girl in nearby Delta, has travelers wary, especially when traveling alone.
For older people like me, I'm just a potential victim. I know that, so I don't go there.
During the daytime, I don't think it's much of a problem, but I think I'd think twice when it's sort of dark or late on in the evening.
Because these days people is crazy.
Now, despite people's fears of riding the SkyTrain alone in certain areas at certain times, TransLink officials suggest a lot can and is being done.
When you pick up that red security phone, you're talking to a live person at SkyTrain control. You don't get an answering machine, you don't get a phone tree saying to call back at 8:30 the next morning. And what they have said over and over again is if you feel the slightest threat to your personal safety, pick up that phone.
It's not always at SkyTrain stations where incidents take place, according to Drew Snyder. He says people should be cautious everywhere.
A news report or a news release might use a SkyTrain station as a locator. And sometimes the actual incident happened a considerable distance away from the SkyTrain station. Well, I think any public area is a place where people need to keep all their 5 or 6 senses working.
So even if you feel comfortable in a place as public as a transit terminal, it's better to take precautions and be safe rather than sorry. Shahid Devji in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up after the break, an Emmy Award for Outstanding Journalism.
We find a great cup of coffee in a most unusual place.
And archive staff tell us how you can access the city's history online. Stay with us.